What's up everybody, Garrett back here. I have a special video today, a little bit different than my normal content. It's for anybody who grew up loving professional wrestling. All right, so the item I'm gonna showcase today I had on pre-order for probably 2 years now, I feel like. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but it's been a while and they finally arrived today. If you were a big fan of professional wrestling as a kid like I was, a huge fan, it was like my life through the late 80s, early to mid 90s. Absolutely loved everything about professional wrestling. I mean, man, those guys were like my heroes back then. I was having birthday parties when it came to professional wrestling, and one of the biggest things at the time that made me such a huge wrestling fan were two things: was the Hasbro WWF wrestling figures, and the Galoob WCW wrestling figures was like everything to me. I needed them all. I was playing with those every Saturday morning on my living room floor, watching cartoons and waiting for WWF superstars to come up. Now, if you don't remember those Hasbro WWF wrestling figures, I have a couple here from my collection as a kid. I still have all my figures as a kid. It was kind of a rough road to get them. That's a different story for a different time, I guess, but I've got them back, and it's not a complete collection, but it's pretty close. They're all loose, but they are the ones that I had as my childhood, more or less. So if you guys remember these, like I'm gonna showcase a couple right now. Like this was an iconic one, like the Bret Hart was a huge one at the time. The first one I ever bought was, I think, in 1990, I believe. And that was Hulk Hogan with this awesome body slam mechanism here. And man, this was like the introduction to these Hasbro figures. I can remember still going to the store. I believe it was like Kmart or something. I grabbed Hogan, my brother grabbed DiBiase in the black, and that kind of started it all for us. But my absolute favorite one as a kid was this slamming Ultimate Warrior Series 2 was my favorite one growing up. I just loved the slam feature. I loved the white deco on him, like the gear. Like this was like my favorite one growing up. I can't believe he's still intact. He's got all his fingers, which was a huge issue for these slammers back in the day. But it's funny because he also has like this nice, I don't know if you can see, but his nose has like a brown little tip, like almost like a little dog nose. I must have wore the paint off because, man, I played with these things so much, inside, outside, every single day for years. I was playing with those, collecting them. But I wanted to showcase a couple here now because it has to do with what I'm about to unbox now. So another one of my favorites growing up was this Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, the heel turn Michaels. This was a big one for me. Mr. Perfect was another big one for me. And then I have this one over here, Undertaker. This was like the first Taker I think I grabbed. He was a little bit later down the line, but these are the ones I wanted to showcase because these are real special ones to me. They were some of my favorites, but I have a boatload of these still, all toted away, and they just meant so much to me. So through the years, especially within the last 5 years or so, they've had a little bit more of a resurgence where these things have become super valuable again. Companies realize how much people loved this style and these figures. So, you know, Mattel, who also does WWE figures now, they came out with a retro line to kind of mimic this with some classic talent and some new talent, which I grabbed all those. I think I'm missing like one, but man, those were really, really cool. They were as close as I've ever seen to these figures. Not exactly the same. I mean, size-wise, they were good. I think it was just the little things, like maybe some of the shine or what it was, but it was the closest thing we ever had until Zombie Sailor Toys announced a couple of years ago that he was going to get the creator, Ron Rudat, who actually made these figures. He drew them out and helped with the sculpts here, and he was going to come out with the most identical figures to these Hasbros, but he was going to include things like some current guys and also some people that may have fit in this line that maybe we just never got. So I pre-ordered Series 1 and it is finally here. So this is going to be my first time ever seeing these in person. I've seen scans and pictures online, but never in hand. So I want to open that now with you guys, let you know my initial thoughts of these, and I want to let you know if I'm happy with this purchase that I made with Zombie Sailor Toys. All right, so I'm gonna get this opened up. All right. Let's see what we got here. Got some paper, some bubble wrap. Oh boy. All right, so first one I see is one of the current wrestlers in this series, and man, I am a huge fan of this guy. I think he's just a megastar. He just knows how to really market himself. He's always known that. And again, when it comes to this channel, I've mentioned many times that, you know, creating that brand and stuff, I've really taken a lot from him, and that's Mr. Always Ready, Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder. Man, let me take a look at this. Wow, this is sick. I mean, hold on. I mean, this is pretty on point here. The packaging, very nostalgic. I'm gonna show this again, you guys, if you can see it a little bit better. But I know it's tough with the bubble, but you got Matt Cardona there. He's got the body slam pose, action feature. Heels and Faces, the name of the line. Very remnant of the Hasbro carding here. And you see on the top over here, it says, designed by the legend Ron Rudat, who designed the original Hasbro series stuff. So very, very cool here, the Cardona. On the back, you've got the drawing, like the blueprint of this figure here. You've got all the other figures in the line. I don't want to show that because I want you guys to be surprised on who's in this line if you don't know about these already. But man, the first one, like, this is killer. I really regret not buying multiples of these because I really want to take this out and display him with my other Hasbros, but I can't see myself doing that. So I kind of feel like I should have got a second series here, just at least on how this one looks alone. So, all right, that's Matt Cardona. Let me see my next one. This is one, a classic. This is one that, like, I wish I bought two of these because this would have fit so well with those 90s Hasbros. And that is your Earl Hebner. He's got that classic 80s, early 90s, like, get up on with the bow tie. Man, this is like on point with, you always wanted a referee with your figures. Like, you really always wanted a referee. Man, what's cool about this too is he comes with changeable hands, which is not something you would ever see back in the day, but think of how awesome that is. He's got the 2 sign coming up, and he's got the number 1 sign coming up. So if you wanted to switch him out 1, 2, and have him hold up the sign, like, this is killer. I mean, to be honest, I wish I bought probably 3 of these, kept 1 in package, take 2 out. I could have had like an Earl and Dave Hebner face off. I mean, that would have been killer just to have on display and mixed in with your Hasbros. Like, I have a 3-year-old now, and obviously it would be a little bit scary to be like, hey, use my Hasbros. But man, to bring back that nostalgia of me growing up would have just been incredible. Man, this is awesome. All right, the third one is another legend, somebody that you would have thought would have been in this early initial line, and that is the world's strongest man, Dino Bravo. Look at that, man. Look at that image of Dino Bravo on that card. That's something you would have seen on the Hasbro card, no doubt. I mean, he's very animated in the picture on the face, but I mean, this is somebody who you always wanted to have. I mean, you wanted him to come out with your Earthquake and whatnot, but I mean, even the way his name is written on the bottom of this package is just like, I feel like I'm looking at a Hasbro from back in the day. Man, very awesome stuff. It's got the blueprint drawing on the back as well. My only regret right now is not buying multiples. It really is. Like, I would love to have a Dino loose just to kind of put in the mix of my old Hasbro stuff. But we've got, I think, 2 more left on this series. And this is another current guy here. And we've got the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers. Brian Myers, aka Kurt Hawkins, another guy. If you guys don't follow Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, like, you guys have got to follow them on YouTube. Listen to their podcast. It's probably one of my favorite podcasts that I'm still listening to on a regular basis. Man, another animated face, but I mean, that's kind of how these things were back then, you know. But he's a jumper, guys. I know he had mentioned on the podcast that he wanted to be a jumper, and I'm glad there's a jumper in here because that was just such a unique thing at the time. I personally was never a fan of the jumpers. I just felt like they were awkward. You know, you had like your Superfly Snooker, which made sense. Warrior 1 was a jumper, which I always kind of hated. That's why I always really liked Series 2, because I wasn't a big fan of that jumper Warrior, which I get he could do kind of like the crossbody tackle, but I was just kind of awkward. And I know with the way his pants were and stuff, it was kind of a mess. But, you know, the Rockers were jumpers, which made sense, but I always kind of wish they weren't as well. But, man, I'm glad to have a jumper in the line, and the fact that he was always a big fan of the jumpers and was able to become one himself is just super cool. And so if you got Cardona, you got to get Myers in here as well. So definitely cool to get. And the last one in Series 1 is the suicidal, homicidal, genocidal Sabu. Now, Sabu's an interesting one because, you know, you got Myers and Cardona, current guys. I know they probably were an inspiration to kind of get this line done from Zombie Sailor. But yeah, like, Sabu's interesting because Sabu, to me, like, wouldn't have fit in that early 90s line per se. He's not current, so he kind of fits in that middle ground where ECW, at least to me, I was watching that probably mid-90s. I think I probably was introduced to ECW. But it's a super cool figure. I mean, I think he's probably the most detailed out of all of them. Like, that face looks like I'm looking at Sabu. The pants have like a nice shine to them. But yeah, look at that, so sick. Look at the pants. I know it's tough to see with the glare, but as you see, like the old Hasbros, the bodies have like a little bit of a shine to the bodies, like these old Hasbros do, which I think other companies have tried to mimic, but they maybe have more of a matte or a flat finish. But these just came out so cool, and the fact that he has got a removable headdress and stuff, like, that's so killer. It's so awesome. And man, he's like one of those guys that, yeah, I wanted to finish the series. I wanted to get the whole series. And I was a huge fan of Sabu growing up, but like I said, he was a little bit more not the Hasbro era, but he was right there on the line, you know, coming from ECW. So that was Series 1, guys. Now, I'm kind of lost in the mix because Zombie keeps putting out like who he's signing to be in the next series and upcoming series. So I don't remember exactly who's next, what's next. But okay, here we go. So it comes with a couple different flyers. So let me look at this and tell you who's coming, okay? So here's something here. This is like the authenticity card where basically it says, we'd like to sincerely thank you for purchasing Heels and Faces Series 1 and patiently waiting for the production to complete. We know the wait was long and we apologize, but we are very confident you will see it was worth it. We did not want to rush manufacturing process. The toy line is very special and we wanted to make them just right. Series 2 will have a much shorter wait time as the production has already started. They will go up for pre-order in September, so that's cool because they're not up yet. I just want to make sure I didn't miss them. Because it is definitely something I want to continue within the line, getting these things. But I will say personally, and as we kind of go through them, I need to be a little bit picky on what I decide to do going forward. I don't think I'm going to get every series. Being a completionist in a lot of different areas, I should get them all. The problem is with this is there's so many now, and I really got to be picky because I don't watch the current product at all. So I want to kind of stay away from some current stuff and just try to keep it a little bit more in the Hasbro era retro. And maybe here and there I'll throw in some current guys that I just really am a big fan of. So Series 2, I've got the flyer for it right here. It looks like Series 2 is going to be Kevin Sullivan, Raven, King Kong Bundy. Is that Bruiser Brody? Bruiser Brody, Andre the Giant, and Nick Gage. Interesting. I don't know what to do with this. I pre-ordered a Jeff Jarrett. He was like a special order. I definitely pre-ordered Jeff Jarrett because, again, he's someone that I feel like should have been in that Hasbro line, but I haven't got him yet. I did not pre-order Danhausen because, again, I am not a current watcher of pro wrestling right now. So to me, didn't need him for this line. Raven, I think I'm going to definitely get. I'm going to probably definitely get Raven. To be honest, I would have probably preferred Johnny Polo or Johnny Flamingo, whatever we want to say. But, you know, like I've got the Sabu. I might as well get the Raven. I'm going to definitely get Bundy. Bruiser Brody, I don't know. Maybe. I'm not going to get Nick Gage for the same reason I didn't get Danhausen. Because I'm not a current, you know, wrestling fan, I guess I would say. But Kevin Sullivan is another one I'm on a maybe list about. He looks awesome, I'll tell you that. And he is old school, right? But Kevin Sullivan was never a WWF guy back in the early 90s, 80s. He was more like WCW and NWA and all that stuff. So, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do on Series 2 yet. Oh yeah, but they got Jeff Jarrett on the back here. I don't know if you can see. So this is the Jeff Jarrett and the Danhausen there. Those were like some special edition ones. I grabbed that Jarrett. Now, Andre's interesting because I do have the Andre figure from Hasbro. But, you know, this Andre is got the blue strap, which was a little bit more of what he was wearing at the time in that era. It was kind of like on his way out. But they also got a black strap variant. Now, I do like the Andre in the sense that he looks more like Andre than the Hasbro figure does. So I may get that Andre. But, you know, to me, Series 2, personally, doesn't really scream like Series 1 did that I need it. So I guess will remain to be seen. But, I mean, again, the quality of these things are top notch. So if you're a completionist and you love the Hasbro line and you want to get all these, I say you gotta get them because I'm very happy with these. I just gotta be a little bit picky because, again, as you see, my collection on things is just ginormous. I have to start being a little pickier on certain things, and not being a wrestling fan currently, like I gotta kind of scrap some of those guys. But you know, there are a couple that he signed that I'm definitely interested in. Like I think he's got Pillman coming, which is one that I'm gonna jump on, no doubt. And a lot more cool ones as well. So, guys, that was my unboxing and review of Zombie Sailor Toys Series 1 of Heels and Faces. Now, if you're into this stuff, I don't know if Heels and Faces Series 1 is even available anymore. They may be long gone at this point. But, and I'm sure they're probably going for big money if they are. But guys, if you thought this was really cool and you're a big fan of these, like, let me know in the comments, did you get them? Did you even know about them? Let me know your history when it comes to wrestling figures back in the day. I know based on my age, like the Hasbros and Galoobs are really my favorites growing up because that was just like the biggest time for me when it came to pro wrestling growing up. You know, I had things like all the wrestling buddies and stuff like that. So, man, that was just such a great time being a kid. Like, very lucky to have grown up in that era. Things were so fun back then. But guys, again, I wanted to showcase these things. Hope to do another unboxing when I get that Jarrett in and any of the other ones I get in the future. So, gang, let me know if you like this kind of content. I do have a lot of old wrestling figures and autographs and stuff, and if you ever wanted to kind of see a little bit more of that stuff, let me know, and it might be something I can kind of add to the list. But, man, this is Garrett at Born to Be Rad, and like always, stay rad.